Okay. Uh, what were we gonna do next? Let's see. Well, do I have anything I needed to identify? No. Huh. Okay. That's all right. That's okay. I'm dropping these potions or store abilities. And it looks like we're all right. So we're gonna go try the Elven Halls. See how that goes. And we're gonna put on Amulet of Warding for this, since they like to summon stuff. That's a lot of elves. Definitely a lot of elves. Now with our Elven Ward, with our Amulet of Warding, the summoned creatures that the elves like to use are not really able to attack us. And as such, they're much less dangerous. But the Elven Halls are a pretty dangerous place, since pretty much every enemy you encounter in here is going to be a spellcaster of some kind, which can be pretty irritating. There's basically two tiers of spellcasters down here. There's the first tier, which, and they all do the same thing. The second tier is just upgraded versions of the first. So rather than an elven mage or an elven priest, you'd find, excuse me, an elven high priest. But they're the regular versions aren't too dangerous. You can probably get through it with a mid-level character without any trouble, which is what we're doing, so that's good. And the final level, however, tends to have lots of the second tier enemies. Oh, 1 second. And whoops. The second tier enemies are much more dangerous, and basically they all tend to appear in one big vault, so you have to fight a whole bunch of them at once. And that guy actually managed to confuse us, which is a bit surprising. And here's Psyche. She's another unique enemy. I think she has the ability to send you to the Abyss, which can suck. But that's random. I believe she has a random spell list every time she's generated, so she might not be able to do that. But she also had a Dagger of Distortion, it looks like, which can send you to the Abyss, which would have sucked as well. Another entrance back to the Orcish Mines. One good thing about these guys is that they're worth quite a bit of experience, though we seem to be getting confused a lot, which is a bit surprising, because we have a fairly good magic resistance. I wouldn't think we'd get confused by these guys. And this place is being pretty irritating. He even managed to summon a blue devil. Okay. Alright, we killed the summoner. Most of these guys can't attack us, but some of the higher level ones can. But even they have to just still make it through our regular defenses, which is pretty hard in and of itself. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, summoned enemies aren't worth any experience points or anything, and they don't leave corpses. So that can be pretty irritating, I have to say. We actually picked up spellcasting in our last iteration, so it might even be worthwhile to pick up some spells eventually. Detect creatures is definitely one you might want to pick up. It's just about any character. I believe, though, in more recent versions of the game, they've gotten rid of divination altogether, so it's not really something you can do anymore, fortunately. And most of the guys down here like to use sort of ray type spells, ranged attacks, and status effects too, slow and confusion. But even for all their attacks, they can't really hit us too hard. Oh man, and they like to use Sticky Flame, which is annoying. Fortunately, we got rid of all of our really useful spells. It looks like we destroyed our scroll of magic mapping with the Sticky Flame, which is pretty annoying. And they drop lots of items though. If you're into swords, this is a good place to get them. Though you'll mostly just get long swords and stuff. You won't really get the really good ones that you might want. Which is a pity, but nothing that you can do about that. There's a Necroxec. These guys are irritating because they can I don't know how to pronounce that, but they're irritating because they can give you mutations. They have the spell Polymorph Other, which is one of the more annoying spells in the game. So you want to be careful around them. Fortunately, I think you can resist it. Maybe. You can also get a scroll of, or not a scroll, an amulet of resist mutation, which helps in that regard quite a bit. So if you have that, you should be okay. But still no source of poison resistance, which is highly unfortunate, because that would have been quite useful. That's it for the first level. I'm just going to check how many levels it is, because I forget. Elven Hall. 7 levels deep. Okay. So we're going to do the first 6 levels and then head back out. Probably do more of the dungeon after that. Ooh, a ring. That's good. We'll just identify that. Ah, there we go. Uncursed ring of poison resistance. And we'll identify the swan water lightning. Okay. So now we're resistant. We can get resistance to poison, which is good. And I think with that, we're going to go back and do the swamp. So we're going to head back to the lair now. I've had just about enough of these elves to do me for quite a while, so no more of that. Did have fun killing them though. But that's enough of that for now. Okay, so we require a slightly different inventory to handle the swamp. First of all, we don't need. Well, first of all, we don't need these scrolls of enchant armor. We don't need. Well, we'll keep both scrolls of blinking. We won't need a scroll of magic mapping. We won't need identify. That should be fine. Let's see here. Definitely going to want the poison resistance, and we'll get rid of sustenance, I think. Food isn't really a problem for us since we're not a mage. Casting spells causes hunger, which is one of the main problems with spellcasting. Or not really a problem, it's more like an obstacle. But once you can overcome that, it isn't really a problem. Sustenance and Gourmand help with that, but as a melee character, we don't really need to worry about hunger quite as much. But Now, resist fire and life protection 2. We don't really need life protection though, so we can put on a different ring. Fire protection might not be too bad. Sometimes you encounter dragons in the lair, but we certainly won't need life protection. So we can also switch out our amulet, and I think we'll switch an amulet either gourmand or resist corrosion. Corrosion, yeah. Sometimes you can get jellies and stuff down there, or oclop plants on the way. It can be pretty irritating. So it'll protect us from acid, and it'll protect our equipment from being degraded. And we should otherwise be okay to go ahead. So, that's what we'll do in the next video. See you then.